pushing those boundaries is Naomi Beckwith, the chief curator. She believes perhaps, besides all the wonderful art within, the building itself, of course, is the greatest work of art.
I think this is probably one of the most beautiful, awe-inspiring places in the world. When Frank Lloyd Wright got the commission to do this building, he was asked to build a temple of the spirit. And Frank said, okay, I'm going to create a place that is inspiring physically and spiritually, but I'm also going to create an engineering and architectural wonder. And you look around, it is the only building in the round, the only museum in the round in the world, such as this. And what he wanted to do was create the soaring space with no visible support in the middle. No columns, no pillars, but open air so that when you walk in, you literally are taken immediately to the heavens. Yes.
I was reading about your views on the changing nature,
Yes.
the controversial changing nature of galleries and museums. Sometimes it can be as basic as reflecting acts that are no longer considered acceptable. How do you balance that in a museum, do you think, or an art gallery?
You know, it's funny to think of it as a balance. I don't know if it's even accurate. I think we're not asking how do we take the old ways and balance it with the news. We're always asking how do we move forward. And one of the most important things for us is to make sure we're telling the most fulsome art history possible. We have a story of art history that is about amazing heroes of art, people who've done incredible art objects. But as we all realize, many of those heroes tend to come in the form of white men, with all due respect, Richard. But it is the case that there have been amazing, amazing movements across the globe. And of course, even right here in the US and in the West, with women, with people of color, immigrant populations, and even the impoverished.
Okay, so that's part of that equation.
Yes, that is.
But what about the revisionist idea, or the idea of the statues that are fallen or felled, I should say, the statues that are felled because these people had slaves or they did this. How far do we allow ourselves, rather than just simply say that was then? That was
then, it was a different time. I think it's always important to look back at history and look at it critically. You have to ask questions, not only about what was made, but what were the sources of that wealth? What were the conditions that allowed that wealth to grow and extrapolate? And how is culture connected to those questions?
So if all of those questions end up being answered in the negative, but it was still a bloody good piece of art, and he's still an excellent sculptor, does the statue stand?
I think the statue moves. I think there's a difference between being an artwork that is an excellent sculpture and one that is a monument. And a monument is something that celebrates a history. And if we understand that that history shouldn't be celebrated, then I think we take that once monument, now excellent maybe sculpture, and I say maybe in some of these cases, we take that somewhere and put it in a different context. We move it inside and we put it next to another artwork that may tell a different history.
This is a tremendous institution in New York. The health of museums like this is not in doubt, but museums elsewhere are in real trouble.
It is true.
And it's harder to make the case for financing museums publicly when, for example, healthcare systems. What argument would you say against that?
I would say, imagine the world without a sense of beauty. Imagine the world without creators. Imagine a world without music or literature or a sense of visuality. We know that we will be not only impoverished in a world without those creative aspects, we'd actually be dead inside as a society. We cannot live wholly on our right brain. We can't live with just rational thought. We can't live just with healthy bodies. We need inspiration, we need vision, and we need to be together. And one of the most wonderful things for me about this building is not only do you look across and see art, But you look across and you see people. You see people walking up and down the spiral. And so art is always in the context of being together in society with other people. And so the culture of our world is the thing that holds us together. So I ask that we always invest in that.